Welcome to another edition of the Husker Fans in Montana podcast. I'm Ricky J here with BB.
Hey, Ricky.
And Karl.
Hello, gentlemen.
Carl.
And Jeff in Omaha.
Maybe.
I don't know if we're going to hear from Jeff. We're still suffering from a little...
Would be a real shame if we couldn't hear Jeff tonight.
Oh, it'd be terrible.
It would be.
Now,
It'd be
there's
painful.
people may notice...
You're going to hear me.
Wait, your microphone way off.
Oh, good.
Jesus
Good. It's
Christ.
working.
People may notice a guest sitting on the cameras. That is a talent scout from an agency I can't name.
Another network.
There could be some exciting news coming up for this podcast and giant leap forward, but now just ignore him and just hopefully we'll live up to that agency standard.
Like we usually do.
Yeah.
Is it this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll ignore it.
right over your shoulder. All right, Jeff, I'm going to share my screen with you.
We should sing some Hail Varsity. Do we know the line?
Let's not.
Okay.
What is that doing? Anyway, can you see that, Jeff? I'm pulling up some Husker news as we tend to get started with. So the Huskers had a potential program-altering performance in their loss to number 4 OSU 17-21. Nebraska showed improvements on defense, offense, and special teams. Head coach DeShaun Foster leads UCLA into Lincoln Saturday, November 2nd at 1:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on BTN following a bye week. They have wins against Hawaii and Rutgers and losses to Indiana, LSU, Oregon, Penn State, and Minnesota. Sunday, the EA Sports simulation game of Nebraska versus UCLA went live on youtube.com/@theexpedition. That's where you'll also find a video version of this podcast in case you're listening on Apple Podcast. The final score of that was Nebraska 9, UCLA 7 with a walk-off field goal.
Oh,
so another very competitive AI
defensive game.
Yeah.
Apparently, huh?
So the question we will pose this week is at some point in our program tonight is which Nebraska team will show up Saturday, the one that lost big to Indiana or the one that battled OSU to the end?
BB, am I wrong or last week did Rick
Program
have
altering.
program altering, but as in the death of the program?
Yeah.
Program
now
altering.
it's program altering as in positive,
Well,
hey, we did pretty good.
In a way, he's right. It was.
That's exactly
it was,
right.
but I mean, which program altering are we
The
talking
ship
about
kind
here?
of rolled over and came back.
Yeah. So
Messed up. So.
So before we get started, as we normally do, Karl, tell us what you got for your whiskey corner.
Yes. Today we have Scotch. We're going the Balvene 14-year-old Scotch. It's the Caribbean cask, which adds smoothness to it because the Scotch was aged in Caribbean rum casks. It kind of takes the edge off. It's a nice nice little taste. It's a nice little change for us.
It does smooth out that peat flavor, that smoky flavor that you find in scotches.
It's a nice little flavor. I like this. It's one of my favorite scotches.
Is that why Jeff gets angry because he can't sample the whiskeys?
Jeff is an angry man anyway, but yes, it does add.
I'll breathe on you.
Hey.
Here, let me breathe some Scotch breath on you, Jeff.
Hey, I always say you can't be offended by truth and fact. Just because you guys are wrong doesn't make me angry. It just means it's truth and fact.
Yes.
I love it.
How you take it is how you take it. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is.
I love it.
Smell some Scotch.
All right, Jeff, I'm going to start. I'm going to go to you first, Jeff. So just give us
Let's go to Jeff first.
before we get into the game, which we'll watch and put on low volume, and we can do our chit chat over it. Let's just give our initial, just kind of short take on the game. Jeff, go.
Obviously, defense fantastic. Offense, a little bit of the same. Didn't really change much.
BB.
Well, I agree. Defense was really good. John Hull, I was really happy for him, that young man, and he got to show off that leg that we've heard about at practices. It was really a good special teams outing. Punting had a couple of mishits, and protections and snaps are still need some work. But offense, I actually thought, we had glimpses of good. I think we just need to, again, get a little more discipline, stick with the things that are working.
Karl.
I thought the defense played great. And I only got to see the second half. But I kind of felt like Dylan it was almost a little a shock to him as far as the stage. I didn't feel like he played very well. No, that's not fair. It's not that he didn't play well. I thought he looked like a freshman.
Yes, I think that I agree with that.
Yeah, and I thought that's
At moments.
And I think it might have been because he's sitting there with one of the best programs in the country. He's playing against their defense.
Yeah.
So
Well, he had the extra stress that was a program that he had committed to.
yeah,
And then, of course, decommitted and committed to Georgia and then came to Nebraska.
Right.
And so now he's playing on their stage. The fans probably have a little bit of hate for him. Anytime someone decommits to your program, you kind of want them to have a bad day.
You
But
want to break their leg.
hey, he had him in position to win. He's the field general on the offense. So, but just my short comments would be I wanted to see improvement. I said it's what you show on the field. So the defense looked like they were bordering on elite again to do what they did to the number 4 team in the nation. And then the offense showed improvements. There's definitely still some work to be done there. I think some of the stuff that looked bad for them was exasperated by placing the football. We had 2 missed spots, one totally egregious and then one not as bad, but I think that had an impact. And then in the special teams, based on the start where it was a muffed kickoff, we fumbled the kickoff, got it. Now we're on like our 9-yard line. We run 3 crappy plays, and God bless him, but it was a shanked punt.
Yeah.
And that's when I texted you guys and said, if this was my Xbox game, I would hit restart. So, but then, hey, the whole special teams did a great job. From coverage to and yes, I echo you, BB. John Holt, Hole with how do you say his last name again? Hole. It is just
H-O-H-L.
John Hole.
Not to be confused with John Holmes.
3 for 3. Well, we haven't been in the locker room, have we?
My,
So 3 for 3, 3 for 3 with a long of 54. So, man, I'm so impressed. So I'm going to go ahead and start the game, and let me get it to a full screen so we can enjoy it fully, and then Karl can see some of the first half. And
boy.
there we go.
Do we start right here from the beginning? Eh?
That's about as good beginning as you can get.
Okay, play. There we go.
Cornhuskers. Here we go from Columbus.
There we go.
Yeah, that's not a good start.
No, it was not good.
Not a good start.
And it just seems like every game we're having those types of things.
Damn Foley.
Well, let me tell you, Jeff, one thing you do teach them at special teams is to put their heels on the 10-yard line. And if it goes past you, you let it go.
Come on. See, that would look like a freshman move.
Yeah, he went outside of his pocket.
Yeah.
He did.
Huge defensive stand here, though.
Yeah.
Nice play.
I mean, that really set a tone. I mean, I think they thought that they were just going to come out and walk all over Nebraska.
Over the middle and caught. Not enough for the first down, however. 7. Henderson, the lone setback.
Watch this.
Nice.
No, you're
Nice
going
play.
back.
Yeah.
You're going
Nice
to lose
play.
a yard.
In the middle, came up big. What
Those fans are like, "What? But I was ordering a beer. What happened? We didn't get a touchdown yet."
Start putting some money on this.
Just the opposite from the week before, wasn't it, on the tackling there?
That was a nice bounce out. It was a nice lateral move by that guy.
Against Oregon, 1st and 10 of the 24. Howard delivers near side, nice catch.
I will say that's the one thing about our defense. Sometimes our angles aren't the best.
Yeah.
That's a coaching thing, though, isn't it? Wouldn't you say, Jeff?
I would think so. Yeah. Yeah, I would
You
agree.
coach angles.
Should be.
All right.
Or you could just get rid of all the players.
That's right. I think we should just get rid of all the players.
If they can't do the job, they
If they
got to
can't
go.
do the job,
Just
hell
put
yeah.
Little Red back
Step
there.
into my office.
Little
Why?
Red can do it all.
You're fucking fired.
Right side, first down of the 40-yard line. Howard sets up, throws it deep, ball's got a man.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, that's just...
Touchdown, Buckeyes!
Yeah.
going to be watching Abuka.
The
And as
Ohio
soon as he
State.
sets, Howard
Yeah.
goes up and over the top. He doesn't pay attention to the backside safety. You feel like you can complete that regardless of what he's doing. Tate runs a good route. Safety sits, and Howard hits him for the touchdown.
So this is this is a longer review, by the way. This is a little more of the game.
Raiola scrambling, throws on the move.
Yeah,
Caught
boy.
close to the first down mark.
Made a couple mistakes, settle him down, and got 3 quarters left to go play ball.
What are you smiling
All right,
about?
on first
They're down losing.
Completion ball squirts out. Nebraska looks like they've jumped on it.
Corey Barney is normally catching the ball at or near the line of scrimmage. A lot of times behind the
It
line
was
of
good we
scrimmage.
got this
Here,
back.
it's a
That would have been a
downfield route. But
a
as he's fighting
bad
for extra
deal.
yardage, you see the ball pop out.
Ohio State.
You know what I liked about it though, because the center Scott was the one of them that was down there.
Comes Dylan Raiola.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a big improvement from what we used to be.
Now
Very true.
I
That was
talked
a nice
about
play.
this. I talked about this last week. And this shows what can happen when you have a quarterback that's willing to run.
Yep.
And
That's a
until
nice play.
until this game, we have not seen that from Raiola, and he's a big, strong, athletic kid and young man, and it works. It worked really well in this game.
First man to him, Tyleek Williams.
Short side of the field. This is going to take up a tendency for Nebraska. Number one, you can create pressure if it's straight drop back, but this is a heavy screen team. They love
A 39-yard field
Nice.
goal. Got it up.
Yeah.
And
Those
good.
pass patterns, it's just out to the flats over and over and over, and it's just
up there in Seattle.
They'll run it and pick up the first down.
I haven't been given chip in.
Howard guns it down the field.
Oh God, nice pass by
Yeah,
Howard.
that was
was a
probably
nice pass.
he's a very, very fast receiver. So
That was a
that
nice
was probably
pass, too.
the worst defensive play
well.
right there.
Am I wrong? I think you're trying to cover him with a linebacker, aren't they?
Well, they got to
That was
contact him.
Gifford.
It's Gifford.
Yeah, but they got to
yeah.
contact him at the line. They let him get off free, and he's super fast. If they let our guys get off like that,
And he's got his tight end, G. Scott. What do you think?
Had some in the past, but he can do that as one of the best ones.
Yeah, that play was doomed from the beginning.
yeah.
Ohio State.
Jeff, I told the guys, you remember the last time we played football and we were all playing the great nephews,
Nice throw.
Oh yeah.
or your generation's kids, I guess, and they were all in high school, and we were sucking wind. But finally, the only way I could cover, decided to cover my guy is heavy contact at the line.
At the line, yes.
You're not going to streak on me.
Yeah. There's going to be some contact within 5 yards,
Yeah,
to say
it's-
the least.
Yeah, and I'm going to win that contact.
I think that was a fumble.
Was that a fumble, or did they
It
call
was,
that an
but they
incomplete pass?
Ohio State recovered.
No.
Howard turns the corner.
There you go. Nice play.
Down from behind to
Left side.
Yeah,
So-
defense definitely stepped up. I mean, they were getting penetration on Ohio
Well,
State. and-
we're going to see that the OU had coming up, and we're not going to blame the calls, but there was a lot of holding.
terrible.
A lot
Oh,
of
my
holding
God.
on the line and on our receivers.
Ooh. Slightly right, left. Right.
2:02 to go in the second. Jack.
What I like is Nebraska did not fold. Being down 14-3 to the number 4 team in the nation, they didn't fold.
Great yard gain on the last play. First down to the 47. Raiola underneath on the slant play. He's got his man. Nicely done. Nailed. First down. Dowdell. Clock will stop. Twins at the top of your screen. Raiola goes that way, throws it behind his receiver. It's called at the 30. From 50.
Yeah, that was the one, and we'll see it in a different clip that they did not give them the
get
first down.
Look
Got
at
it by
that-
yard
Look
and
at
a
that field
half.
kicker. Look at that.
Yeah, 2 for 2 at this
There's some
point.
special teams there.
It's got to be your best stuff here as a play caller.
On 2nd and 8, here's some good stuff here with the running lane, and it is Barney. Way New Jersey, Seton Hall Prep. Here's a handoff and a lane again for Nebraska. Dante Dowdell. First down at
Close
the
to
43.
popping a couple of them there.
Yeah,
Boy, very close. I mean, literally.
that was good balance right
That
there.
is.
And he'll get it. EJ, no, play fake, caught on the sideline, flag on the play. Raiola off his back foot, incomplete, and a flag.
And a flag.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Is that interference or holding?
That the interference they
Interference.
called.
Yeah. I mean, look at the jersey.
Oh, face mask. You grabbed the guy's face mask.
Raiola in trouble. Raiola.
Said thank you, Ben Hart, for knocking me back into him.
Swarmed under JT.
This is where we struggled here.
Yeah.
This-
And the offensive line slides to the left.
But
Tuimoloau is just
the dude is,
That's a clear
unaccounted for.
assignment up front, and Raiola looked like he was just running for his life there.
Right, he was.
39 and 54 from 47. Good.
39, 54, 47-yard field goals.
John Hole, 1 for 5.
For those that aren't as familiar listening with Nebraska football or just listening either to, as a talent scout or, Nebraska's had major problems with the field goal. I wish you would have got in here.
Oh, as I watched this live,
You
I
gotta
felt
score.
too.
Gotta
He's
score.
gotta get in there
Got to score.
because we don't get points here.
No.
It just
But just briefly, Nebraska's lead field goal kicker was out for injury. And then so they've had true freshman, I guess. True freshman?
sophomore. I think.
Sophomore,
Yeah.
okay. And he's just had a confidence issue, but he's got a killer leg. And boy, he sure showed it.
Yeah, this was a good break. Hopefully, this is a breakout game.
So look
for
at where
him.
the ball is, and look
Right.
at where they spotted it.
Oh, but you know what? Why didn't you go for a field goal there?
Yeah.
I take the points.
So, but literally, the ball went down at like the 3-inch line, and so that's why they called that play the dive over the line, and he would have gotten in if the ball would have been spotted where they thought it was when they sent the play in.
Did he appeal?
No.
Why?
Well, they should have been.
Because you can question the
The
spot.
spot should have been, but did not.
But also, I disagree with the play call. You take the points against Ohio
I
State.
felt the same way at
I
the
mean,
time.
seriously,
too.
3 points?
Take the points.
How much do they lose by?
So there's
2.
and we have 2 of these opportunities where we do go on 4th and don't take the points.
Yeah, you take the points against Ohio State.
Receiver that is looking inside. That's Barney, and that ball has got.
3rd down and 1.
Good play.
Nice stop.
Nice stop.
Well, Coach Bill Bush talked about that play specifically this week, and he said if the defensive player actually would have made a good tackle, a high tackle, not a low tackle, he made a low tackle, so he gained more yards and really was on like the 5-inch line or something, and then they spotted it back. But they probably would have kicked a field goal if the guy would have made a good tackle.
And he tiptoes out of bounds.
Block on the safety. That's Jordan Hancock and Igbenosin.
Yeah, we look really good in some of the
response as the corner.
and watching some of these runs are much better than what we've been doing.
Underneath, and it's caught by
He had another good game, Benoni.
Tony, and he'll dive forward.
I guess he said he went to the coaches a couple weeks ago and said, hey, I can help this team. You got to throw me the ball more.
Good for him.
Yeah.
If somebody has to do the offensive coordinator job. Apparently, it's Fedora.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think Satterfield is.
I think he said Satterfield is
Satterfield's
not
a
recognizing
genius.
my talent.
He's a genius, and I think we
I'm
should
not
use it.
sure Satterfield recognizes a football field at this point, to be honest with you.
Underneath,
He
Look at that.
recognizes
Look at
his
that play
bank
calling.
account.
Look at that play calling. It's incredible.
blitz. Raiola.
Total
Nice.
genius.
Touchdown.
Look at
And this
Nebraska.
that.
one
Touchdown,
is
Satterfield.
yeah.
Took the lead against the number 4 team in the
This
nation in
gets
the fourth
called
quarter.
back, and
It
they have
does.
to.
Well, not called back, but it gets downed
Spotted
at the.
there.
At the
But they,
touchdown.
they spotted it correctly here on about the 5-inch line,
Would be first and goal.
half-yard line.
So man, you watch that play live, and it just seemed like
Well,
for sure he
that's why
was
you
in.
have. Yeah.
After further review, the runner's shin was down, and the ball was at the quarter-yard line.
Quarter-yard line.
Results in a first down.
So now they'll run the same play that they did before, and
Although
they'll score.
I think they bring in the heavier packages.
Last man through now. It's a touchdown. Dowdell.
Pretty. This 2-point conversion's nice too. I like this next play.
really good play.
By the offensive line. There's the big defensive tackle in the game. Number
Wonder who
9.
called it.
Satterfield.
Robinson.
Fedoni. I
Satterfield.
think Fedoni called this
The
one too.
genius of an offensive coordinator, Satterfield did.
Raiola.
This is a nice play.
Inside
Yeah, that is
Got it.
well
Who called that?
designed.
I'll give credit where
Who
credit's
called that?
due.
BB, who called that?
Well,
Say it.
All right.
Say it.
Well,
Say it.
regardless, BB, Satterfield is responsible for the success or failure of the offense.
Yeah, who's responsible for that? It's not Satterfield. Why is that guy that open?
Yeah, this was frustrating.
Hits the sideline and knocked out a play.
Yeah, it is a bummer.
We all want to see success, and you know,
I don't think you do, Brian.
I do.
I don't think you do.
I do. I just
I think you
disagree how
dwell
to
on the
get
negative.
there. No, not me.
You're like Eeyore, man.
I'm
You're
a
just
positive
like,
kind of
no,
guy.
I don't think so.
Very positive.
No.
Howard sprints out, delivers, caught, and a first down. Emeka Ebuka. Judkins. No.
Yeah, this fooled,
Nice fake. That was a nice
fooled
fake.
everybody.
Including the cameraman.
First down. Howard looking with time.
All day.
How much time do you need?
Unfortunately, our defender fell down.
Ohio State.
Yeah. Someone's going to get open, though, when you have that much time.
Inside release on the linebacker does a nice job making him slip.
Wouldn't you agree,
And
Jeff?
See all the time he has to have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
move
Good.
from the. You got to take your time.
they look like they go out way too wide too. Like they're
And this time Johnson
weren't pushing up the middle like they should.
JT Tuimoloau. Raiola lets it go. And in comes
You'll see if you they won't show it on this, but from the other angle, he's pulling his jersey.
Cheater.
Cheater.
Cheers, never prosper.
They did,
Well,
though.
maybe today.
If you're Ohio State, you do.
Maybe you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamari Butler again.
Bigger TV contract.
Your coach doesn't get a personal foul.
No. That comes later.
No place to
That play doesn't work for Ohio State either,
Throw
apparently.
it on the right side. You can run that football straight up the middle. If you go to empty,
Wonder if Satterfield called it for them.
to the quarterback.
Yeah.
He might have. He's got a phone line to Chip there. He's
He
telling
does.
him, hey,
over the middle.
yeah, you
Oh,
pass
nice hit.
downfield.
Oh, nice hit. That was a good
so
hit.
targeting gets called on this one,
Does
I
he?
believe,
Okay.
which has now been overturned,
And the momentum creates-
strangely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he hit it with his shoulder. But
No, he was
I
a-
think shoulder.
He was a
to the
defense.
head.
He's a
Yeah.
defenseless player, so
Right.
it was validated by the booth, the back end, but they appealed to the Big Ten. The Big Ten overturned it, and why? I would say it's because you've got a number 3 versus number 4 matchup, and they don't want the excuse that one of their starting players is out. I mean, very timely that we educated ourselves
Oh, here's-
on the
now
penalty.
we get
Why
into the
is-
sideline
Yeah,
warning.
Day is a whiner. He really is.
Yeah, that's absolutely a personal foul, and he should have been.
He
It should have been another 15
he threw
yards.
his headphones down.
He's way out on the field.
Yeah.
Boy, that play didn't work that time. Strange.
Well, even the coach
that
says
time.
he understands why people are frustrated because they. And there we go. So
Yeah. That's
he's frustrated because we ran 2 of those screens on the,
Yeah.
but
Well, as long as he understands.
yeah, exactly. So here's the replay of it, but
Just waiting for this one.
Yeah, that was a bad.
Not one
that
of
was
his
a
better
don't know
decisions.
what happened
Poor
there.
decision to throw that ball.
Mayer straightens
Yeah.
up because of Hancock sitting in the middle of the field. And
You
that's
know,
an
and
easy
that's
interception.
where you
He's
just
gotta know he's got
experience
to
is
get the first. He doesn't
there's no
have to-
substitute for it, and he's trying to make it happen, and you know he's gone a 3rd and long, and
What a good gutsy
Yeah.
performance
So,
from him and his
hard to
teammates.
blame him for
but
being a freshman. You know, you just are what you are sometimes.
So, here's the so the Big Ten statement by Chief Operating Officer Kerry Kennedy. He said they sent out a statement to kind of get ahead of it. On second down with 2 yards to gain on the Ohio State 39-yard line, the ball was incorrectly spotted after a run by Cornhuskers running back Emmett Johnson. The ball carried across the 37-yard line, and a first down should have been awarded to Nebraska. Replay should have stopped the game to review the spot since it involved a line to gain. So Coach Rule should not have had to have challenged that. They should have automatically looked at it. the conference said in a statement. Officials spotted the ball short of the line and failed to use replay to stop the game and correct the spot. Ultimately, Nebraska had opportunities to win in the second half. It didn't make the plays when it needed to, but in a game decided by 4 points, it's hard not to wonder what happens if the officials get the call right. Now, the second part, the last part of that was not obviously part of the official Big Ten statement.
I don't think that was a Big Ten statement.
It could have been. It could have been. That would have been nice.
It should have been. But it's commentary to go along with it.
Directly from Satterfield.
And then this is, we'll look at this, and then we will get to a point that we will give a little more of our feelings on this game. Let me go to
feelings.
View feelings. Whoa,
we
whoa,
like feelings.
Whoa, feelings.
Especially with this
is what you
lit.
sent, Brian.
Handed off to Emmett, makes a man miss, gets to the outside, 45, another Boilermaker slipping by, has the first down of the 38, but there is a flag on the edge. It's probably coming back.
Dead ball, unsportsmanlike conduct foul on the Nebraska
Now they
head
show
coach.
this because this is what he did over in the white.
Being forced from the succeeding spot.
And then now another flag has come out.
Yeah.
This flag
See,
is
that's
going to be
crap.
on Ryan Day.
He's out on the 20.
This is going to be a personal foul right now.
But plus, they threw the flag on him and then took it back. Like, they saw the foul.
Right.
Exactly.
That's BS.
That was crap.
Lucky that he doesn't have a 15-yard penalty.
No, it should have been. You think about the difference that would have made.
Sideline warning is when people interfere
Yeah.
with you, players or coaches interfere with you in the white. But if you come out on the field and voice your displeasure like
that's
he
dirty.
did and throw the headset, that should be an unsportsmanlike conduct, which would add another 15.
Yes.
But he catches a break here. You can't be out on the field and do this.
But right now he's going to have to
Look
deal
at this
with
holding.
a
Look at this tackle
that
almost.
is already struggling.
it's
Sid
ridiculous.
Mahalski has given up.
That's
too
what the
much
crap
pressure.
is.
Already has a sack in today's
And it's
game.
happening right in front of the. It's not like it's like in a corner where there's not really a rep to
Look
see.
at that jersey.
A tight pressure from this left side. So right guard gets beat
Embarrassing.
pretty easily. That's Saraville. And then they attack number 10 right away with Isaiah Nair.
No holding
Got
there.
away with
Yeah,
a little
no.
grab of the jersey there, and then he's got a.
That's incredible.
Raiola lobs it up.
I'm assuming
Over the
this isn't Big
shoulder,
Big Ten
and a flag.
film
Pass
either.
interference. Offense number 4.
Here's Igbenosin again. Good release by Banks. You see right there, he gives that just that right arm.
Raiola looking. Raiola in the corner.
That is almost as bad as the spot. That's horrible.
That's not offense. That's not pass interference on either play.
No, it's
I'm
not.
with Matt Rule there. My goodness. Across college football, the offensive
Even
defensive
Joe
pass
Klatt is like, that is wrong.
is just
Right.
so inconsistent. That is a bad call, and it just took Nebraska out of potential field goal range. That's terrible.
Raiola lets it go. And incomplete. No flags on the play.
Styles, the Notre Dame transfer again.
So
His
here,
brother
they
Sonny is a
show it again.
linebacker, and he's right there.
Should
Gets
have
away
been
with a little
defensive
bit of a
holding
tug.
right there.
And pass interference.
Third and 6
You got a
at the
little of
28.
both.
Howard hit as he throws, and a flag on the play.
So Mecca is going just right down the seam on this go route. He kind of gets held by Malcolm
Pass
Hartzog.
interference.
Kind of gets held.
Defense number 7.
Punt the ball away.
Raiola looking. Raiola over the middle and intercepted.
Seam from Nair, but there's Jordan Hancock just waiting for this one, and he throws it right to him.
I don't think that was pass
I think they're
interference.
trying to say compare the last two though,
Ohio State.
where he kind of grabbed his arm and tugged on him, and the last one he grabbed his arm and tugged on him.
Second down and 6 to 29. They'll run it straight ahead. It's Judkins, State Buckeye.
Jackson Smith and Jigba up there in Seattle.
They'll run it and pick up the first down.
So they missed a false start.
You know, you wonder.
Clear false start.
Howard guns it down the field. Smith, Jeremiah, touchdown.
Yeah, how did they not see that false start?
They throw it too much near or at the line of scrimmage. They need to get down the field.
And then they
Second
call
down and
our
2,
false
the
start,
handoff for
and
the
where
first
is
down.
it?
What's going on here? They didn't get the first down. It wasn't awarded them, and now they haven't taken their last time out. Yeah, that's a frustrating sequence for Nebraska. Here's that second down play that they didn't get it, and I got to tell you, I felt like they got a terrible spot, and then it was not reviewed. I mean, he's over by a yard and a half. and they spot him short. The clock started to run. That was a major mistake by the officials, and now that's why they had to waste the timeout after they just got the first down in order to try to get the right personnel back on the field. Now they get an offensive pass interference call that's like a phantom call. That's rough.
Yeah, that whole sequence was so bizarre because I kept seeing the clock run when they had the first down. I think the official actually got confused with who had the ball. It wasn't where he spotted it. And then replay should have noted this to stop
You're in
that and make
Columbus.
this
You're
correction.
not going to get the calls.
So again, I mean, we don't
Pretty
want to
good
put
clip,
we don't want to put it all on officiating. I think Coach Rule said basically we don't want to be talking about calls from last week when we're trying to get ready to face UCLA. So we had a couple more videos, and then one more video, and then we will give our thoughts on the game. This is Coach Rule on the defense, just a little under 2 minutes.
So carry it forward, and we'll do that each and every week.
I asked you last week about the defensive film against Indiana. I want to be fair to ask you again this week. What did you see on film against Ohio State that popped out at you from your defense?
Well, I think it starts with you should start with stopping the run, but I think a very important thing, because I've talked about it a lot here, is if you want to run the football, you have to be good on third down. Because if it's 2nd and 7, you're probably going to run the ball to get it to 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, and you better be able to convert those. And for us to be 1 of 10, hold them to 1 of 10 on third down, to me, never allowed Coach Kelly and Coach Day to call multiple runs and try to wear us. Because really when you watch what they do, they throw the ball on the perimeter, they try to wear you out, and then they come downhill and run it right at you. I thought our guys won third down, so we were able to get off the field. And that way we covered them. We did a good job. We also stopped the run, right? I mean, so I think those two things go in hand. We stopped the run. We got off the field on third down. The key Achilles heel was we gave up, 3 big plays. And it's hard to win versus quality offense when you give up big plays, which goes back to kind of when you guys asked me about our offense. I say, hey, we're not creating enough big plays, right? So, but I thought that's what the defense did well. And I think when you watch some of the guys play, I thought it was the best our defense looked, not the results. I thought it was the best some of our guys on defense have looked to this date. And they played with a unique, just relentlessness that now they've put it on tape. So they have a standard now that they have to match.
UCLA is making this transition.
So, Karl, now that you've had a chance to see more of the game, we'll just go around the room, but I'll start with you and just kind of give your thoughts on the Nebraska-Ohio State game.
Heart. They came back with heart. I mean, they could have easily thrown in the towel after the Indiana experience, especially knowing they were walking into the Ohio State game, which they didn't have a lot of thought of winning. I thought they played really damn good. I thought they played with some character, some heart. So
sure,
I was proud with them.
Yeah.
BB?
Yeah, no, I think we left last week's broadcast with saying heart, hoping that we would see it. I think we did. Really, in all 3 phases, there's probably things that could be cleaned up in at least 2 of those phases. But the kids came out and definitely showed what they're all about. They had a very good chance to win that game. Unfortunately, we didn't, but we still showed up. And let's just hope the rest of the season. I think if that team shows up for the next 4 games, we very well could win all 4.
I agree.
Jeff, what do you got?
Well, a little bit of the same. I mean, I don't remember where I heard it, but I did hear somebody a week or so ago said something about not winning another game. But those guys showed, we're not even happy with our offense, and they should have won that football game. So we have a football team here, fellas. It's just putting those pieces together, getting that thing to sync up. But I mean, they should have beat the number 4 team in the nation, and Ohio State didn't play horribly. So we aren't even happy with our offense. We got gypped by the refs, and we still should have won that football game.
Yeah. Well, what I think I said and a lot of us said is we wanted them to be competitive against Ohio State. They were certainly competitive. Oh. They were in it. They were ahead in the 4th. They were there with a chance to win the game. There'll be some people I haven't looked. I've looked at a little bit of Ohio State stuff, but I'm sure there's some people, if you look at their talk shows, saying Ohio State just didn't play to their standard, and they easily could have beaten Nebraska 9 out of 10 times. And I'm sure that verbiage is out there, but we know that Nebraska on that Saturday in their stadium in the shoe dominated them in the third quarter.
In the shoe. That's a hard place to play.
They had their fans so pissed off. They were throwing beer and everything. And they got a lot of breaks, as we just showed. Again, we're not pissing and moaning and whining that we didn't get the calls. But there was clearly things that could have changed the game. Yeah. They don't make that touchdown possibly the way our defense was playing if they get that false start and they get backed up 10 yards. Right. So anyway, this is our last chance to kind of get this game out of our system. Yep. I think they were extremely competitive enough they could have won that game more than we were hoping for. We saw improvements. What I say about when I've said I'm judge basing whether they're going to win, I'm only doing it not off my hopes and dreams and aspirations and my belief. I'm doing it off of what I see on the field.
And what clearly, Satterfield should be given a raise.
Well, what I saw on the field in this game was Nebraska's defense came back to form in a big way. I agree with Coach Rule that they may have had their best game ever. I mean, they definitely looked great against Colorado game. Then they had 2 really good games, and then the week before last was like Stinker. You can't even understand it based off what they did with Ohio State. So, they were back in elite form, and then you had the offense doing better, and then you had the special teams doing much better. And I mentioned Buddy Shank, but after that, I mean, he had 40 point something average, and so did a great job after that. So it was just that first series. I'm like, holy crap! Let me hit the reset on this thing. But so those are kind of my thoughts on the game to cap that off, and we can put that to bed. And I think it's a game that, even though we didn't win, we can be proud of.
Sure.
So
absolutely.
Now we're moving on to our game this Saturday. Nebraska hosts UCLA. Yeah, Jeff, you got a thought
before we get too far? Can we get a little shout out for the product placement back here?
Oh,
we can't see it.
We can't see it because you're in the smaller screen now. Yeah. What do you got? I mean, I'll be able to see it when I go to you on the finished product, but we can't see it.
Yeah.
So a little Lewis and Clark emblem back here, staged up.
Oh yeah.
Microphone
look at that.
Kind of points right at it. Like
nice. Well, and I'm glad you did that for a sponsor. I was out of beer, so I got to go get loaded up.
You just blew them off.
I just blew them off. I didn't go pick up my free beer. Dang it.
All right.
I will rectify that situation before the next podcast episode. Hopefully we won't need it. Hopefully it'll be celebratory. But Nebraska hosts UCLA this Saturday, November 2nd at 1:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and the game is on BTN. Before we jump into that game, let's go over last week's predictions. So Karl picked Nebraska 7, OSU 42. He was off by 31 points. Brian picked Nebraska 10, OSU 36. He was off by 22 points. Jeff picked Nebraska 10, OSU 34. He's off by 20 points. I picked Nebraska 7, OSU 49. I was off by the most, 38 points. Unfortunately for Jeff, who would have been the winner, he failed to beat the AI, where the Sim picked Nebraska 14, OSU 20. The AI was only off by 4 points, gentlemen. So I
didn't know we were competing against.
Like Terminator.
You're absolutely competing against
Terminator.
AI.
Oh, for God's sake!
You got to beat the simulation.
Jeff, I'm on your side in this one, man. I think you won.
Thank you.
Yeah,
you don't want that kind of asterisk.
Well, you already talked about how you reset it, so you probably just kept resetting it until I lost.
Yeah, I agree.
There you go.
Cheater.
The AI was out before the game was played. The AI has been ready to go.
Rick got to be a Big Ten referee, it sounds like.
Yeah.
I can't help it. Y'all lost.
Offensive
I'm
pass
included.
Interference.
Jeff is the first loser. Brian, you are where are we at?
Second.
Jeff is first loser. You're second loser. Karl's third loser.
I'm the third best loser.
And I am the fourth loser.
It's a bronze. I get a bronze for losing.
I don't even get a ribbon.
Wow, that's sad.
You get a participation ribbon, though. That's all that counts. That's all that matters.
I'm too old for participation ribbons.
Oh, you're never too old for participation, buddy.
All right, we're jumping into UCLA. I got some stats here. I've learned a little trick because I got to go full screen so I can actually see them. But no, that didn't work.
That didn't work.
Oh no!
Get your glasses on, old man.
I did it this way. There we go.
There.
Oh no, I know what I did. Hold it. Stand by.
Thank you for standing by us to our loyal viewers out there.
There.
Throw an at symbol at it.
What's that?
I said throw an at symbol at it.
Yeah, AT.
That's your answer now for every computer issue. All right, 2024 UCLA this season so far, they're scoring 122 points. Their opponents are scoring 203 points on average. On average, points per game, 70.43 by UCLA, 29 points by their opponent. Rushing yards, 452, 690 by their opponents. Passing yardage, 1663, 1881 by their opponent. Total offense, 2,115 yards, 2,571 yards by their opponents. Fumbles, 8 fumbles, 3 lost. It's another team that we may be able to get them to fumble. If we can get on them, that would be a nice thing for us. Sure. So as we jump into rushing, you can see their Harden is their lead rusher with 62 attempps, 201 yards.
Not a huge average.
No, they've been hurt. They've been more successful through the pass. You see receiving, Matevo is at 251. Close behind him is Harden at 239.
Right. And they do have a really good beach volleyball team.
One thing they do have is, well, we'll get to it in a second, but you see scoring.
Yeah.
Well, scoring. Their field goal kicker is leading the team, which is not something you want to see.
That's not something you want to see.
They look like they have a decent punter, though. He's averaging 43.78 yards per game at a long of 61. So pretty decent punter. And I think that's kind of gets us the stats, gives you an idea of what UCLA is like. If anyone wants to see a little bit of their video of them playing, they can go back a couple weeks to we included UCLA and Indiana, I believe, in an episode, or one of the teams anyway. UCLA and someone.
This is another team I want to see which one shows up, because if it's the team that showed up against Rutgers, they did a decent job.
Yeah, they did.
Won.
Yeah.
But man, they didn't show up for the rest of them.
So I did get a chance to watch a little UCLA this week and
good.
A couple of their games, just here and there, some highlights. They seem to be a little bit like us in some ways, where they really look great at times and they look really terrible at times.
Yeah.
So it really, it's not only what Nebraska team's going to show up this Saturday, but it's also, like you say, what UCLA team is going to show up.
It is true. And my concern is they've had a really, really difficult schedule, as we pointed out prior to this. It's kind of interesting, though, the connection between the Nebraska coaching staff, especially our defensive coordinator, Tony White,
right.
And obviously he played for UCLA and knows their head coach very well, was a teammate of his. So it's kind of interesting, the connection there. But so we got 3 videos. Coach Rule, this one's just under 4 minutes, and we'll see what he has to say.
As it pertains to UCLA, they're going to challenge you with their run defense. Like, they are big and physical and athletic on defense, and teams that normally run the ball really well struggle to run it against them, and then they pressure you and play man. All the things that at times have bothered us. So this is a real opportunity for us this week to show that we fix some of those things. And then offensively, they are a sophisticated. It's a sophisticated offense that can run the football, but really, really can throw it as well, with a sophisticated NFL passing offense. So, for all the good things we did, we gave up 3 explosive plays in the passing game last week. We'll have to show that we can handle that. And then special teams wise, we're making such great growth in some areas, and then all of a sudden something pops up like fielding kickoff returns all of a sudden. So we have to continue to find a way to make plays in those areas. Johnny kept us in the game. So just keep finding the next thing to improve. So that probably doesn't necessarily answer your question, but I think the best thing that we do as a team is we improve. We get better at the things that are beating us. The guys came in today very focused on what didn't we do, as opposed to what did we do.
Loaded question, but how much better do you have to get in this screen game?
I'll be very humble when I say this.
You two need to listen to this.
I completely understand why people are frustrated, right? Completely, you know. At the same time, what I would say is you go block that front without throwing a couple screens and tell me, okay, I mean, they're dominant, absolutely dominant.
Couple.
There's some kids that feel really bad on our team because they see the heat that, like, you know, Sat's taking or I'm taking or whoever, and they know that they had a missed assignment. If they had blocked the man-to-man defender, the ball would have gone for about 50. So, you know, that being said, you know, you have some things built in, like, hey, we're running this play. If they bring zero blitz, go on the screen. That's what kind of most people do, and they threw the screen, and we just didn't make the block or whatever. So we look at everything like we have to be better as coaches. Like, it always starts with us. There's one thing you're not allowed to do in our building. You can never say the players weren't good enough. You can never say, oh, so-and-so, he's not good enough.
Jeff needs
it wasn't
to
good
hear
enough.
that.
The screen game wasn't good enough, you know. To have two on the final drive.
Sat's not out there playing
I can
the
understand why
game.
people would be frustrated about that. You know, we came out.
You said you couldn't say it didn't mean it didn't happen.
Threw the ball to Jamal and got the offense. He caught it. We had the ball on the 45-yard line. Got the offensive pass interference. We came out. We threw the backside in cut versus cover 2. You know, the targeting play. We get the ball. They came out. They played man. You know, we went to the screen. So I wish we could go back on those things. But yeah, I mean, the screen game hasn't been terrible for us, but it was not very good for us in that game. And you know, it's just one of those things come out of the game as coaches, and you're like, hey, we really thought going into that game we were going to need to be able to screen them because of their pass rush. Even plays like, you know, like we were putting Wood in motion and running as fast as we could and blocking their DN and handing the Bonner and handing the ball off. He missed one in a crucial time, but yet they weren't quite running up the field and rushing us as much as they were because they had to play the screens. They had to so much of football to me is complimentary. There's things I really regret from that game. Some of the play calls we called, some of the defenses we called, you know. But that's ball, man. You know, so I don't know if that answers the question, but it wasn't good enough. It hurt us in crucial situations. We got to be better. We went into it with a plan, thinking we needed to be able to do that. And in the key moments at the end of the game, you know, it didn't work out.
How much do you make a big deal about 6?
All right, gentlemen. So I don't know if you want to take a moment to comment on that here. If you have things that you just are bubbling at the surface. All right, BB, go ahead.
But let me share
take the
this.
floor.
The last few weeks, there's been some banter here with my good friend Jeff, and we all want the same thing. Let me just be clear. And if Satterfield, I have my opinions. Jeff has it. Doesn't make him right, wrong. The execution's huge. It has to happen with the players. The calls have to match what talent you've got on the field too. No one wants success any more than I do. I hope Satterfield's learning. We did run the ball more against Ohio State, and I think it worked. I think there were just times that we kind of fell back into the same. So I mean, if Marcus Satterfield learns and incorporates, great. Then God bless him, go forward with him, and maybe he will, because I do think the Ohio State game was called mostly better. I think that last series was very frustrating because I think it just reminded a lot of us of what we have seen. And, when Roll says you got to throw a couple of screens, yeah, okay, a couple. But 15 or whatever we threw, it loses its effectiveness at a certain point. So that's all I wanted to say on it.
Jeff, did you want to take a rebuttal?
Well, I was just going to ask Karl, is there a term for, apologizing but not apologizing?
Narcissism.
Bingo.
That's classic. Well,
but I have a whole thing I could go into with it. I just know we don't need to fire the guy. Does there need to be some adjustments? Yeah. But I think there's a lot that everybody's looking past, being fandom, because it's going on here too. But I think there's a lot more involved than just the dude calling the plays.
Gotcha. Well, we can move on.
I guess.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on.
We are going to move on.
With that ludicrous stupidity, we'll move forward.
Hey.
Easy. Okay, now let's.
Oh boy! Here we go.
Is there a term for deranged? No, never mind.
Now this one won't be as controversial, but let's remember to let the coach talk. I did say it was my fault. I said you both need to listen to this.
Okay.
So that was my fault. But I started the banter, and that was my fault. So let's let the coach talk.
Obviously, a great football game this past Saturday. As I said after the game, I was proud of the guys for the effort and all the things that they brought forth, the resiliency during the game. At the same time, we made key mistakes on all three phases that didn't allow us to win the game. So we started this morning working to correct those, try to get better for UCLA. Really an excellent, talented football team that's had a really, really tough schedule, playing their best football of late. So we have our work cut out for us. So we'll try to make the improvements from the Ohio State game to the UCLA game the same way we did from Indiana to Ohio State. So with that, I'll see what questions you guys have.
So that was just his opening statement. Then he has one further comment on player development. We'll get that.
Yeah, that's a great question. It kind of came to us like it came to me and they came to Sat like maybe 3-4 weeks ago and was like, what do I need to do? And
he's talking about Fedoni.
He blocks. He's a complete tight end, but he wanted to catch the ball more. And I think when you see what he's done in the last couple of weeks, I mean, and we talked a lot about just focusing on like some certain aspects of route running, and then I think Sat's done a really good job of being like, hey, what's he great at? And it's just got such great long speed, getting him down the field, but he also can run out of breaks. And so, he won in man last week, on the hook route against Indiana on 3rd and 8 on the goal line, right? And I think it's been showing up in practice. So I think Dylan has a lot of confidence in him. That route, that was man. That route last week was man. He won in man. He ran an option route, saw his own, sat it down. So I just think he's a relentless guy in terms of wanting to be great. He's always seeking to improve. And I think giving him a couple specific things like, hey, let's work on this. Then he's done that. I think Dylan feels it. I think the coaches feel it, and so now they're always trying to get him, involved. And the thing is when you start catching the football as a tight end, they start trying to take you away. And so he ran through that contact last week and made a great play, and hopefully we can get him a couple more things.
And then Lloyd, I know that maybe the numbers aren't quite there yet, but you guys are using him in some different situations. How have you seen him progress in his sophomore year?
Yeah, I think Jalen's an excellent receiver. Had the hamstring in the summer and in fall camp. Missed some time. I think he's really got a good connection now. You go back to that play even on the goal line. Like when to put the ball in his hands. And he gets hit at the 4. He drags it down to the 1.5 yard line. I think you'll see him just continue to emerge. I don't not say develop, emerge. Get more and more opportunities. We have some guys on the scout team that are Malachi and Quinn Clark and Isaiah McMorris, and those guys they're developing. This is the kind of year we have to take advantage. We lost Barrett Liebentritt for the year. Starting fullback, who's been such a key part of our short yardage and goal line game. So we had to go over on the touchdown. Unfortunately, on the one we got stopped, but also on the one we scored. Elijah Judy and Ty Robinson had to step out there and play fullback for us. So this is a time of year where guys, we took Caleb Benning on the road this week. We took Braylon Pruitt on the road this week. We took Donovan Jones, guys who we feel like are really emerging. Amari Sanders. This is the time where some of those guys, their 4-game red shirts are kind of available to you now, and so you might see some of those guys stepping into some roles.
What's the injury for Barrett?
He broke a bone in his back. Really, almost one of the best blocks I think I've ever seen. And he's been like I said, he's been a key part of what we do, and so he'll be out. I think it's like 6 to 8 weeks. So it's not like life. I mean, he'll be fine, but he'll miss the season.
And what was the response from the team to your philosophical comments after the game?
Yeah, I didn't talk to them about that.
No, I didn't know if they.
No, I haven't talked. Yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, I have a really, I think, close relationship with most of the guys, and most of my conversations with them are kind of like one-on-one, and I didn't really bring that up. More like, my question. I will share this with you. My question to all the guys has been, well, what did you learn this past week? And I think a lot of them learned that, hey, we belong. We can play with anybody when we do X, Y, and Z. And then my second question is like, well, then what happened 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, no doubt.
And I think the one thing we're learning is, and it's what I know. lot of things I take. I know I've said this all. Don't play the logos. Indiana's an elite team, and Ohio State. When we knew it was Ohio State, we had a chance to play them, right? So, don't play the logo, and just go play the guys. And I know while guys know that, sometimes they have to go through this to gain the confidence to recognize that, like, hey, I played really well against Ohio State. I'm a good player. I should carry that forward. So. I don't know about you guys. You guys have kids. I don't know if you tell your kids. I don't know how often they listen to you. My son's a freshman. I don't know how often he listens to me. Sometimes young people have to do it themselves before they decide, okay, this is true. And so we're in that stage, and we didn't panic after Indiana. We're not going to panic now. We're going to try to go beat UCLA this week 1-0.
So take the logos off. You played them both back-to-back weeks. Which team do you find more challenging?
You can't get me to answer that one. That's a heck of a try.
Well, goodbye.
Thank you, guys.
Exactly. He's like, nope. All right, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. There it is. All right, now we can see a little more, Jeff. So before we move on to
Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, it looks good.
Very good.
Before we move on, I do want to touch briefly on your guys' topic with the coach versus player and performance and who's ultimately more responsible, and just take a second of that. And my thoughts are it's a balance between the two, and the coach has got to know the talent of his players and then try to set them up for as best he can for success. However, the player, if they can do it, they need to do it at game time. So there is that trade-off. I mean, there's a reason Army doesn't run the spread. Most of the academies don't have the talent to do that, so that's the reason they're running kind of an option run power-based game. That said, I don't think Satterfield helps himself from time. I don't know if you guys heard today's press conference, but
I did.
It goes to knowing the talents of your team. And he probably didn't even mean this. He probably knew this, but he said that he was asked about Dylan's running, and he said, I didn't even know he could run like that. How can you not know your quarterback for your offense, what his capabilities are of running the ball? Again, that's a statement he probably didn't mean. He probably wants back. But it comes down to figuring out what your players can do and then putting themselves in positions to be successful at that. And so, again, I don't think that statement last week he had some bad statements. This week, that statement stuck out to me. It's like, dude, how can you not know if he's capable of running the ball around? You should know what his capabilities are, and then you're choosing to do it or not. He's like, I didn't know he could run like that. It didn't come off well. But anyway, if for any thoughts on that topic, just throw them out now, and then we'll move on to our thoughts on the UCLA game and our predictions.
All right.
Nothing. Jeff, go ahead.
So I just have to ask you guys on that topic. One, I think the statement was kind of tongue in cheek, but also, I mean, how much do they allow him to run and do stuff in practice? Because they wear, the green jerseys, they don't get hit. So I don't know how much they would know, but I'll tell you this. So I get a little tired of hearing we just need to be a little better. We look at like Boise State, Iowa State, not always the most talented teams, but they get it done. But what do you do if the receivers aren't blocking? So if we're going to look at getting rid of Satterfield, are we getting rid of our receivers coach? And if we're doing that, if the running backs aren't breaking tackles, are we getting rid of the running back coach, offensive line coach, QB coach? Because Dylan misses open guys. He doesn't throw it. He doesn't let it rip. And around here, the fandom is saying get rid of Foley and all this, but what are you going to do with them? You go around to the talking heads around here, and none of them say we should get rid of them. So, I mean, I guess that's just my point is if you're turning it over now, Dylan's going to have to find a new offense. So now he's in year 2, and it's all brand new. So aren't we just setting the program backwards?
Well, I think Tony White on the defensive side last week when he was questioned because of how poorly they did, said something which really relates to this topic, and that's they missed some one-on-one tackles that didn't tackle well. And he goes, Yeah, we didn't. We missed those tackles, but I've got to set them up I've got to set them up that's not just a one-on-one. My scheme has to be set up so there's two or more that can make that. Because if we missed the first one, my scheme better be that there's another guy to make that tackle. And so I think it's a balance, and I don't think we should disrupt the program as long as we got improvements. But that's my uninformed opinion just from watching. I mean, ultimately, it's Coach Rule's responsibility, right? But there is a balance there somewhere, and so I think Tony White really said, he's like, yeah, they're not getting it done. They missed those tackles, and he didn't just put a period there. He brought the responsibility back to himself and said, if they're missing tackles, if I realize basically my player cannot make those tackles one-on-one, I better change my scheme so they're not out there one-on-one. So,
but my take on it, though, is like, okay, Fedoni whiffed against Indiana and Harburg gets tackled. How are you going to scheme that different to figure that Fedoni's going to whiff? You're not going to be able to do that. And so...
Yeah, but does he whiff once? Because then he came back the next time and he did make the block. So you're right, Jeff. If he only whiffs once, but if the coach can figure out that his players, like let's go to Army, they can't run the spread. So and most of the academies can't. So their coaches know we don't have the talent to do that type of offense. So we've got to run an offense that matches our players' talent level. So that's what I'm saying, is that there, at some point, it's on the coach to figure out what the talents are, what the strengths and weaknesses of his players are, and then put them in schemes that can be mostly successful. But you're right. If they call something that you feel that they should be able to do, and I think everyone thought that Fedoni can make a block, and he misses that block, that's not on the coach. Because
right, but that happens every play. Banks doesn't make a block. The lineman misses somebody. I mean, we say, yeah, does Fedoni come back and the next play he makes a great block? Yeah, but there was probably somebody else that was messing up their assignment on that.
Well, if it wasn't a balance, if we stuck to that logic, and that's what I'm saying, there's a balance, there's a blending of the two. If we stuck to that logic, right, we would never change coaches. We would never, ever, ever, ever fire a coach.
What logic are you talking about?
That it's all on the players. That
I didn't say it's all on the players.
No, that they don't. If they don't make the block, they do. What I'm saying is the coach has to figure out the skill set of his players, and over time, put them in a position to win. And yeah, you can't take a one-off or a one-on-one. But if his wide receivers can't block, then he's got to figure out another scheme. Maybe bring in a fullback. I don't know, but I
mean, there's always going to be calls you can question, but like. I never said it was all on the players. Like, yeah, they have to get better, but like Banks not making a block is not on Satterfield.
Not one block, but if he can't make 10 blocks, then it's on Satterfield to figure out a different scheme.
Well, then it's on the receivers coach. That's what I'm saying. But like what's disgusting about it is this university has been struggling. Okay, and then all of a sudden, we're still in the positive category as far as the way I understand math, as far as win-loss record. And we are inundating this program with fire the offensive coordinator. And those kids hear it. Those coaches hear it. But instead of like, yeah, we have to get better, like Rule said, some of those things are checkdowns based on what the defense throws. And that's why they go two screens in a row or whatever. Well, yeah, you may have to change that scheme up a little bit, throw a little wiggle to it. Yes, that would be on Satterfield to change. But he's not always calling that play. The defense does something that then makes Dylan check to that play.
Exactly.
So maybe he has to have additional checks, yes. But what I hate is that we're drilling this guy halfway through year 2.
Hey, we've got to do it for the ratings. We got to do it for the ratings. We've got to keep the tension up. I mean, our ratings are off the chart. Okay, yeah, we got to keep the ratings up. So no,
Right.
I think
Yeah,
Jeff,
that's why.
Jeff. Really, it's going to be a week by week, and they have an opportunity to get better and go win this game against UCLA. And the conversation obviously gets better when you're winning. If they win 2 more games, I would say the staff comes back 100% intact. If they lose all 4 games, the staff does not come back intact.
Who do you get rid of?
Well, that's on Coach Rule to figure out.
Little Red,
but he.
Well,
will.
yeah, but that's what we're talking about. Like,
fire right there. That'd
Yeah.
be a good fire.
Well, we don't know. Let's
I mean-
Let's see what the next 4 games bring.
but okay.
Let's see the next 4 games bring, and then it'll be a conversation at the end of the season. Because I don't think you should just, I don't think you should be doing anything now. Obviously.
Why aren't you even saying based on what if the next 4 games went exactly what we've seen through the first 8, and we lose all 4, and there's not an Indiana mixed in there, we just lose the games, chasing 3, whatever you want to call it. Unless we're changing these position coaches, I don't know where we make changes.
Yeah.
Because, okay, is Foley get all the credit for the field goals? Or is he just going to get the blame for Ives dropping it at the 9? Like, what are we doing here? So, to me, if my receivers aren't blocking, then I got to look at this receivers coach. It may not be the guy calling the plays. It may be the guy who's teaching them how or putting the wrong guy on the depth chart that's not getting blocks.
It very well could be that. You're right. But all right, well, that's been good for the fans. A little in-depth.
I have to pee. We have to go here.
All right, now we're gonna. Okay, we'll start with Karl. We'll start with Karl, but you got to sit there.
Our new sponsor
when everyone goes through.
Depends.
Yeah,
Depends.
For bringing
is our
it
new
up.
sponsor.
Thank you.
adult Karl diapers.
Dude wipes are going to be our new.
So now we're just going to give our thoughts on the UCLA matchup and your score prediction. Now, I will say the score prediction, so you guys all know you're competing against the AI score
I don't give a
of
crap
Nebraska
about the AI
9,
score.
UCLA 7. If we can't fucking beat the
9-7.
computer, you don't win. Go, Karl.
I'm going 17-10 Nebraska. I think we could win this one.
Why are you going 17-10? Why?
Because I have to pee.
He doesn't watch the game. He doesn't. But he brings whiskey.
Depends. You
I
could have.
bring whiskey.
You could have
brings-
damn
peed
it.
10
God damn it,
minutes
right
ago.
there.
There you go. Yes.
You could have peed 10 minutes ago if you were
17-10.
wearing
I
your
think,
Depends.
I think we're
That's
gonna
true. How
build
convenient that would be,
right?
We're gonna build on the momentum.
Like if you're a
we could
former
be here
astronaut and you
all
want to go
hey,
do
I'm
something.
trying to talk to you. You
Illegal.
asked me
Go
why
ahead.
I thought.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We're going to build on the momentum we had against Ohio State. I think
sure
the
hope
defense
so.
is going to come out, continue to play tough. I think the offense is going to score against a weaker defense, 17-10.
Nice job,
In
Karl.
Nebraska.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Brian.
I like our chances really well, and I really do hope what Rule is saying. The players themselves have now had a chance to get a taste of seriously competing with a top program in the country. A game they should have probably won, could have won maybe. I think 28-17, we come out on top, and hopefully we see that same team. If that same defense from last week shows up, it's really hard for us not to win, even if we sputter on offense. I think we just I like our chances here against UCLA.
Next.
Jeff, what do you got?
All right. I don't think they can score.
Who?
So I'm going to go.
Nebraska can't score?
I don't think UCLA can score.
Okay.
They got a terrible offense, and we got a good defense. I don't see them putting up many points. I'm going to give them 7 points, but I'm going to say 27-7.
Jeff may very well be right on that, especially if the defense looks anything like they did against Ohio State. Because
if they come out angry, I don't think they can score.
Yeah, UCLA is not going to be as challenging as Ohio State, even close. So,
yeah.
Rick?
All right, well, so Karl has to pee, so I'm just going to go to it.
Thank you.
Well, no, I want to really talk about
We
it a little bit.
should.
I want to share my feelings about it. I want to.
We're going to have that conversation. Remember tackles? We were
Kumbaya,
left versus right
my
tackle. We were
Lord.
going to
I'm
talk
about to
about
walk off
that
the
now.
set.
Well, our talent guy left. Our talent guy left, but he did order his pizza. So I don't know what that means.
The pizza's waiting for us.
Are we getting called up? or
Yes,
not?
we are.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to say Nebraska 17, UCLA 7. I agree with Jeff. I think they're going to have a hard time scoring against this defense. I'm going to bet on Nebraska's defense that we saw last week and in the games prior showing up, not the defense that showed up against Indiana or failed to show up. And then I think our offense will continue its struggles. I think UCLA will surprise us because I do believe they are a better team than what they have on paper. Their schedule has been terrible, but I think we'll score 17 points and have a fairly comfortable win at home.
Do you think our defense will score? Because I think we're going to see a defensive score this game.
If I do, then I would add a touchdown to the 17 because the most I think. Now I could have this wrong. I think per the season, the most our offense has scored is 21 or 24 points. Now we did have a game that was 28, but that was a pick six that got that. So, anyway, any other thoughts, gentlemen? Karl
has
Go
to
Big Red.
pee.
Baby.
Karl needs to pin.
Hey, yeah, we got to get him.
Go Big Red.
Jeff.
Go Big Red.
All right, go Big Red, guys. See you next week.
Take care.